Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love, and I'm Reverend Tomas. A quick shout out to all the recent subscribers. Thank you so much. What you'll find here was, well, a lot. This video series here, A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love, has been going on for over a year and a half now. It began in January of 2021, and it's October 1st here in North America, 2022. And that's this recording date. I don't know when you're watching, but thank you for tuning in. There's a lot here, and what you have seen is, well, a video on the entire workbook for students, as well as the manual for teachers, the clarification of terms, and the supplement psychotherapy purpose, process, and practice. We're working on the Song of Prayer, the second supplement to A Course in Miracles right now, and we'll talk about the ladder of prayer today. And then we are most certainly going to do the text, because as long as we appear to be here in these things, we are not in them at all, are we? It's not us, but as long as we appear to be here, elasticity, right? We have need of spiritual practice and the spiritual path, which, as you may have guessed, is universal. Jesus, in fact, in the manual for teachers, refers to it as the universal course. So it is a curriculum of awakening, and there are many doors. That's something I like to say. There are many doors, many approaches. All of these so-called doors or paths or spiritual traditions, religious traditions, practices, anything, whatever that looks like, they're all approaches, they're all doors into the path, so to speak. And they all lead to the same end, which, as we discover, is really not an end at all. What it is in fact an awakening to what we are and have always been. And that's what we're all working on. So here in the world where we parse things into component parts, we break things down, we classify, we categorize, and yes, we define and defend personal territory all the time. In this morass, into this hectic array of excess activity and frustration, right? Enter your spiritual practice. There's something deep within each of us that causes us to seek a better way. That's what caused Helen Schucman and Bill Tedford to start receiving A Course in Miracles, is seeking a different solution, seeking a better way so that they didn't fight with each other all the time. Into a conflict-laden situation comes a presentation of truth and a practice for realizing it. And prayer is one of the ways that we do this. So in brief today, we're on the segment entitled The Ladder of Prayer, where Jesus analogizes prayer to a ladder, a ladder where you climb up. And here in the world, these analogies are very helpful, aren't they? They are inspiring to people. They are uplifting, and they give people hope. That's the idea. anyway, right? We're all listening to the same voice. It's why we're interested in spirituality. Now, personally, as Reverend Tomas Garza, before I was Reverend, which has been most of my life, I was always drawn to spirituality, even though I wandered off and did my own thing and partied like mad in college and in the mid 20s right after college. I've got lots of stories. Do you have stories? I bet you do, right? These can be wild times in our lives. Yet still, I had this sense, a deep inner knowing that there was something else, that there was more to it, and that there was a better way. Now, at the time, it seemed like a better way to do life, as people say modernly. All right, let's do life. Yeah, it seemed like there was a better, more peaceful, more loving, more purposeful way to do that. And certainly there is that. It's spirituality. Yet I had my periods of time where I had to wander in the wilderness, so to speak. It really wasn't the wilderness, it was not really a spiritual desert either, because I continued to find myself drawn back to various forms of spirituality. So, prayer is one of the things that we can do. Let's talk about the latter. Well, in this segment, which of course I invite you to read, yeah, along with all the others, any video, any supplemental material, no matter who the author is, doesn't make any difference. It's not to be taken as a substitute for your reading the material yourself, nor is it to be taken as a substitute for doing it. The practice, this is where the action lies in all of spirituality. I don't care what tradition or traditions you practice or don't practice. It's in doing it, in putting it into daily practice, that we learn experientially for ourselves that it's true. So, how does prayer start out? Well, I invite you to take a look at yesterday's video, Praying Like Janis Joplin. That was what I decided to call it because the song where Janis Joplin entreats God, in jest, of course, to buy her a Mercedes-Benz because she's got to keep up with the Joneses. You may know the song, Her Friends All Drive Porsches. She asks for a cash prize from the former television show Dialing for Dollars. You may remember that if you're my age. You probably do remember that. If you're younger, yes, we only had 3 or 4 channels of TV, and it didn't come in without those insane rabbit ears antennae that you may see. If you've never seen that before, if you're under 35 or something, I'm so glad you're watching this. I didn't have the presence of mind to look at any material on A Course in Miracles when I was under 35. And it would have been very cool if I had, but however, that wasn't part of my script. So I'm glad you're watching. The point of all of that is that's how people often start out praying, isn't it? We take everything in this world, including this, to be hardcore real, our so called reality. And we ask for stuff. We ask God to buy us a brand new late model Mercedes. We ask for money. We ask for a new hot, sexy lover. Seriously, we ask for a juicy meal and a slow, comfortable screw after with a juicy orgasm at the end. Do we not? We ask for physical stuff in the world. And that's at, well, as we follow the analogy, the bottom of the ladder. Nothing wrong with any of that. See, there's nothing wrong with any of that. And it's not any of our faults that we find ourselves in a position where we're doing something like that. Remember, we're conditioned here in the world to think this is real. We're conditioned to think that everything is so serious. We are conditioned to think it all concrete, hardcore exists. Enter spirituality and a thought system like A Course in Miracles that is 100% insistent and consistently insistent, thank God, that it's not real. So, how do we realize that? You got it. Spiritual practice. Now, here in the practice of A Course in Miracles, prayer and forgiveness go hand in hand. And this is something that this segment, the ladder of prayer, talks about. So, at the bottom of the ladder, so to speak, we're asking for stuff. Now, we might go up the ladder and continue to ask for stuff, but with a wholehearted belief. We might entreat God to give us a brand new Mercedes or a new t-shirt or a hot, sexy lover. Right? We may entreat God for that, but with a different level of belief, with a different knowing and an acceptance. It's very important, right? An acceptance that maybe there is some truth to what all these crazy people like me are saying, that God is love. That's everything only God is. And there might be some truth to that deep down. And so we ask for stuff with a higher, so to speak, level of awareness. Ultimately, no levels. There's no ladder, by the way, ultimately. But let's continue with this analogy because it's a very helpful teaching device, just as words are very helpful teaching devices. That's why I'm using them. That's why we all use them. This is why YouTube exists. It's a teaching device. Now, there's a lot of other content on there, quite clearly, which you're free to watch, but you're here. That's cool. It says a lot. It says a lot, doesn't it? You want to know what I think it really says? It means you're done fucking around. Huh. Yes. back back to the ladder of prayer. We start off asking to entreat for specific stuff, then we ask for specific stuff with heightened and increasingly heightened levels of awareness, which means more acceptance. And as we practice, we discover and we see, we experience that prayer and forgiveness go together hand in hand. Now, as we saw in yesterday's video, the ladder of prayer extends all the way up to what this supplement refers to as true prayer, which is our communication, direct communication with God. It's our experience of ourself, one with our Creator, with no separation, no limitations, beyond words, beyond concepts. We simply experience truth as it is, and a highly, highly effective prayer that I invite you to consider adding to your practice whenever you remember to do so is to pray to, well, get help if you need it, to allow truth to be just as it is. Please let me allow truth to be just as it is. That's the idea. The words, you can change. Some of the prayers that I work on, I'll just share with you. I ask the Holy Spirit to direct my forgiveness. And as encouraged by the Course to do, I give him my entire experience, every business meeting, every phone call, every video that I shoot, the night, the day, all of my experience. And I also pray, and this is another very good prayer that you may wish to consider adding for yourself is to, I request help from Jesus, the Holy Spirit. It doesn't matter who you feel more drawn to in working through the course material. They're one, and you can work with both or one or the other, your preference, really. It, that's completely immaterial in the end, because Jesus is a manifestation of the Holy Spirit. They're one. He realized it. That's why he's teaching us. So whether you ask Jesus, whether you ask the Holy Spirit, or whether you ask your guide or guides in a different tradition, which is perfectly cool, if you do that, a great prayer is to ask for help in setting all of your judgments aside. Ooh, how about that? Please help me to set all of my judgments aside. All of them. It's powerful. It's powerful. Because without any judgments, we recognize our brother for who he is. We recognize ourselves for who we are. We forgive and let go of the past because without a past, think about it, without a past, we don't presently know what anything is for. It's a blank slate to us on which we invite the Holy Spirit to enter and write his own understanding. This is our present moment choice to allow our inner teacher to run the show and to change our perception. It's the purpose of A Course in Miracles, so that we may change our mind about who we are, about who everyone in the world is, and about what the world is and is not, right? So nothing less than questioning the foundations of everything that we now believe. This is powerful. And yes, it takes time. Rest assured that that is what time is for. So wherever you find yourself on the ladder, right, it's exactly where you're meant to be right now. So, as always, in practicing this material, I invite you to give some thought to the prayers that are mentioned here, to the ideas here, and you can formulate your own language for prayer, can't you? I mean, you really can. You don't have to take what I say or what anyone else says at all. You don't have to agree with a single word that comes out of my mouth. Truly, you don't. But it's worth thinking about, what would your words look like? The words don't matter. What matters is the content, the idea, the wish to forgive, the wish to have the Holy Spirit direct your forgiveness, the wish to allow truth to be just as it is, the wish to set all of your judgments aside and not keep any little hidden corners for that nasty X. That's just an example. So, as always, it's an invitation to practice. And thank you again for tuning in. That red arrow at the bottom of your screen here is, in fact, a subscribe button. So if you like this content, if you're a student of A Course in Miracles and you want to subscribe to this channel, I'd love to have you. Feel welcome to hit that and subscribe. And I will see you back here in the next video, guys. Thanks so much, as always, for joining me. And thank you most of all for your commitment to practice.